I'm Werner Joubert, Storage Business Manager here at Rectron. Seagate is one of the brands that falls under my portfolio. We currently hold more than 60% of the Seagate market share in South Africa. Seagate is mostly focused on storage within a variety of markets. Focus for Seagate is in the component industry, providing desktop PCs and notebook PCs with hard drive storage.
Just a matter of interest, what is the entry level at the moment in terms of Seagate hard drives?
Seagate's entry-level hard drive at the moment is the 80 gig serial ATA drive. However, it's fastly going over to the 250 gig. The reason for that is because Seagate reaches the capacity per platter so fast that it's actually starting to become more affordable to manufacture 250 gig than it was manufacturing an 80 gig drive. For example, 160 gig will go end of life by the end of this year, and 80 gigabyte will still be your very entry level for the really penny pusher type of customer, but 250 gigabyte will be your entry level drive.
And what kind of pricing are we looking at in that area? Just a benchmark.
The pricing at the moment, you're looking at about retail price of about 450 Rand. 80 gig is starting, well at the moment it's retailing for about 450 Rand, with 250 gigabyte by the end of this year, probably be just about 100 Rand more than that. Your 160 gig drive, the cost of manufacturing of that is at the moment higher than a 250 gig, but because of the high demand still in the country and across the world on 160 gig drive, it's going to be a slow but smooth transition over to the 250 gig capacity.
In the latest issue, I quote an analyst who says that the average user by 2010 will have a 2 terabyte hard drive or hard storage on their PC.
The 2 terabytes actually being released the second quarter of next year.
Okay.
So by the time 2010 arises, the cost of a 2 terabyte will currently be where the 500 gigabyte is costing at this moment, where majority of the demand is also shifting to. With Seagate now releasing the 1.5 terabyte, that will enable, or that will open a lot of doors for a lot of the power users, multimedia enthusiasts. High definition is starting to become very popular in South Africa.
Why has Seagate been able to be the first one to launch a 1.5 terabyte?
Seagate is the leading manufacturer that focuses on increasing capacity per platter rather than increasing capacity per hard drive. All of the other competitors will add an extra platter when they reach, for example, a 250 gig per platter, and they can enable an extra drive to give you a 1.25 terabyte, for example. However, Seagate reached 375 gigabytes per platter, so they can only use, or they only have to use 4 platters in a hard drive to make it 1.5 terabyte. And there's a lot of advantages because of that. It will increase the length or the lifetime of your system. It will increase the lifetime of your hard drive as well. Your hard drive will run much cooler, and it will actually weigh much less than what currently is being done by the competitors.
And how noisy is it, or how quiet is it?
Because there's only 4 platters, the noise level sort of stays the same across Seagate's hard drive.
Right.
It's never been high noise at all. As soon as you go over 4 platters, there's going to be noise going to be generated because of the actuator arms and heads moving across all the platters is much more, and there's also much more components. More components, the more prone it is to damage.
But that MTBF is actually really interesting. 85 years.
Yeah, the mean time before failure rating on all Seagate hard drives is, or all the Barracuda series Seagate hard drives, is 750,000 hours, which comes to about 85 hours of operating before failure may happen.
85 years. 85 years. Using it all the time, around the clock. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that is continuous operating of the hard drive for 750,000 hours, 85 years, without interrupting anything before they expect it to fail.
Right. Obviously, Barracuda implies it's a lot faster, so one assumes that not only are you going to go to 1.5 terabyte, but it's going to be a really fast drive.
The speed across the range of 3.5-inch desktop hard drives, the general standard is 7200 RPM. Now, with the serial ATA connection, it uses 3 gigabits per second. With a sustained, that gives you a sustained data rate of up to about 120 megs per second as well. Now, all drives is basically the speed is being judged on how fast the actual platter spins. Now, if you look at Seagate's enterprise drive or mission critical drives, which are mostly being used in high-end servers, you will find up to 15K RPM drives. Those drives are much more robust and also much more expensive than the normal Seagate drive. And the mean time before failure rate is even higher than 750,000 hours. You can look up to 1.2 million operating hours before it actually fails.
So where does the Barracuda fit in then in terms of its top power user?
Okay, the Barracuda drives basically ranges from entry level up to the power user and enthusiast. The Barracuda basically stands for 3.5-inch desktop serial ATA hard drive, which is being used in your everyday desktop PCs, whether it's a high-end gaming PC or whether it's a very entry-level learning or school office PC. Majority of Seagate's hard drives is Barracuda that's being sold across the globe. However, they do have their name structures for each type of drive. For example, the 2.5-inch will be called Momentous, 3.5-inch Barracuda, and the 3.5-inch server-based hard drives is called the Enterprise or Mission Critical drive.
This perpendicular magnetic recording PMR technology, that sounds quite interesting. Is this a Seagate proprietary technology or what?
Seagate was one of the first manufacturers to implement that technology. That actually enabled them to fit more capacity per platter. Because previously hard drives used longitudinal recording, which basically recorded in a horizontal way. As soon as they started to increase the capacity per platters, the magnetic field sort of lost their force, and bad sectors on hard drives started to arise on that. So what they did is they changed the way of the actual magnetic recording and made it vertical towards the hard drive. So in actual fact, it makes logical sense that as soon as something's vertical, you can fit much more on one platter. And another thing, because it's vertical and the magnetic field is not going horizontally, you won't lose any source of or any force of the magnetism on the actual platter, and you can fit the actual bytes as close as possible to each other without losing any magnetic force.
Where is the research and development going at the moment? Only in terms of speed and size, or is there anything else that we're looking at?
The actual research and development at the moment is to continue to increase the storage per platter. There's going to be an exceptional need for storage. Now, it's easy to say, yes, I can buy 5 or 10 1.5 terabyte drives, but if you think about it, next year that might be too small. Mm-hmm. We're expecting to start shipping the 1.5 terabyte Barracuda drives from Seagate by the end of August 2008. It will be available during the first week of September for our resellers to purchase, and immediately then thereafter to the end user or consumer that will buy it for there. You're looking at a recommended retail price of about 3,599 Rand.
A lot of interest from your resellers out there in this particular product?
At the moment, we've seen very good feedback from especially our enterprise customers that has got a lot of storage servers. At the moment, they think that the 1.5 terabyte will enable them to put more storage into their storage server without compromising the fact that a lot of heat's going to be generated and everything because of the large capacity per single hard drive.
And obviously this isn't the only interesting Seagate product out there at the moment. What else do you have on the menu?
Okay, Seagate Barracuda ranges from 80 gig up to now the 1.5 terabyte drive. However, the capacities I would actually focus on as a consumer or as an end user myself is I'll focus on 250, 500, 1 terabyte and 1.5 terabyte. 750, 640 and 320 gigabyte is between there. However, the actual value versus price is much more clear going into 250, 500, 1 terabyte and 1.5 terabyte.